Hello and welcome back to the Perfunctionist channel. You find me here, back in the great outdoors, seeing as the weather's starting to perk up a little bit and it's getting a little bit warmer and a little bit sunnier, so I thought, why not, let's come outside and for your viewing pleasure and for my walking pleasure too. So what were you talking about today? So in this video, well actually in previous videos, you may remember that I like to, on the Line 6 Helix, I like to mix and match snapshots with effects blocks. And since several firmware updates ago, Line 6 have deemed it so that the effects blocks are dependent on which snapshot you're in. So if you're in snapshot 1 and you turn on, say, for example, a chorus effect block, when you go to snapshot 2, the chorus effect block isn't switched on by default, unless you set it that way or save it that way, and it will be on when you go back to snapshot 1 again. So some people have asked, and I've often wondered myself, is there a way to make the effects blocks independent of the snapshots, just like you would if you were having a traditional pedal board, if you're using a traditional pedal board? Well, I'm glad to say the answer is yes, and in this video I'm going to show you how to do it. We're going to have to go back to the studio for that, so I'll let you guys check that out and then we'll pop back here to the grey outdoors for a little summary and some comments. All right, back to the studio. So in order to do this, it's actually relatively straightforward. I've picked this preset arbitrarily, and let's have a look at what happens by default. So I'm in the clean snapshot. I've got my snapshots here along the bottom. I've got my effects here along the top. And if I was to say to pick the ubiquitous vibe, nice obvious effect there for you to hear. But when I go to a different snapshot, say the push, you'll see that the vibe turns itself off because it's not programmed to be on when I go to this snapshot. I can program it, I can turn it on, save it so that it will be on automatically when I switch to that, but by default it's not on. And if I go back to the clean, it remembers that that was on in the first place. So some people have been asking, and I've also been wondering, is there a way to make these effects independent of these snapshots? So these will stay on or off regardless of which snapshot I'm into. So this is how you do it. So let's stick with the vibe for the moment. So I'm going to go to my vibe effect. So I can either tap it or I can scroll to it, and there it is. I'm going to click on the action button, and then this is what I want here. Hopefully you can see that. It's the snapshot bypass section, and it's automatically switched to on. We want to switch it to off, so I'm going to turn it left. Oh, there we go, and it's off now. So if I turn this on and then switch to push, that remains on. If I go to another snapshot, say face fuzz, that's still on. So it's on regardless of which of these snapshots I'm using. Notice how when I went to the filth, these are programmed to be on when I turn them, when I go to that snapshot. So I'll probably want to leave those alone. I can just leave these ones set to on and have maybe these two set to be off. So let's do it with this one. So it's currently on the 60s bias trem. Let's turn that off. So that should now be independent as well. So if I turn that on, it's not as easy to hear this, but if you look at the light, you'll see that it stays on regardless of which snapshot I'm using. So if you're happy with that, I usually have mine set to start off in push. Let's save that, and then it's saved. So quite a nice easy fix for something that I've been wondering about for a long time, and all it took was a Google search on how to do that, and I found out how to do it. So now hopefully you guys, for the people who are asking about this, there you go, that's how you do it, and I do hope that's been helpful. I can see that being quite a useful feature to be able to use. So it's great that Line 6 have updated their firmware so that the effects will work dependent of the snapshots, or work with snapshots, but it's also great that they've given you the option to make them independent of the snapshots. So yeah, well done Line 6. Well, there you go. I hope you found that useful. It's certainly something that I think I'm going to be using quite a lot now that I know how to do it, and hopefully you can too. And if it's something that you have wondered how to do that, and now you know, then please feel free to give this video a thumbs up. Anyway, let's check out some comments from last week's video. There's only one really, from guitarist Barre, who's commented before, but he basically says, that foot switch is a nice size. I've been thinking of making an external dual foot switch that runs through the MIDI socket. Have a couple of ins for expression pedals too on the same box. Okay, so the one I've got is not MIDI. I like to keep it kind of simpler, and I might do a video on the dual external foot switch that I'm using. And I think, in fact, I'm going to do a video on my entire setup, my HX Stomp setup. So subscribe to the channel to see that, to make sure you don't miss that, because I'll be doing that in the next few weeks or so. I'll be doing it reasonably soon, I think. Yeah, so if that interests you, let me know in the comments below as well. Let's hope to have more days like this where the sun is out and it's reasonably warm, and yeah, let's bring on the summer. And until next week, I will see you in the next video. Have a good one.